Welcome to your First 60 Days podcast, a series of conversations intended for new executives to integrate with ease into a new organisation. Today I'm joined by Elisabetta, a fantastic global leader who is incredibly self-aware and spends time and puts importance on how you're entering the system in a way that you build confidence, respect, and true understanding, ultimately enabling you to move the system where it needs to go. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Elisabetta, welcome. Thank you so much for creating the space in your diary to be here. I know how busy you are at the moment, so a real heartfelt thank you.
Thank you, Tess, for having me. It's absolute pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, so of course you know the territory of where I would love to have our conversation, really spending time thinking about and giving your wise counsel from the benefit of your experience to other leaders who are either about to embark or maybe in the middle of their first 60 days. I'd like to start from the I, so your own experience, if I may. Having moved around a few significant global organizations yourself, tell me what your experience has been, and with the benefit of hindsight, maybe what are the things that you now hold on to as the real things to be conscious of in your onboarding?
I had different experiences of onboarding in different companies with a very different culture.
Yes.
And actually I found the onboarding phase to be critical and a key predictive element of success afterwards. And I saw the onboarding plan being managed very differently in different organizations. And it's great also to pause and reflect on, for me, on what I want to do differently, not only for my next best move, but also when onboarding other leaders in the company. What I found very good is when you have an organization that is very intentional about the onboarding and is acknowledging how critical it is to have the right level of focus and care.
Yes.
Especially when you come from external, you may have been doing your research, but actually when you land in a new company, you really need to be guided and supported to understand stakeholders, how things are done. And this is part of a good onboarding for me. But what I also realized that very often there has been the expectation of me to be incredibly fast at drafting the strategy, what I would have been changing versus what I observed. And this, of course, comes with a human willingness also from my side to prove that I was the right choice, that hiring me was actually the right thing to do. So how to deal with this strong drive to prove, and strong drive also to make an impact and support the organization. It has been a challenge, and it's something I'm very mindful of.
And if you could just delve a little bit deeper in terms of what's helped you manage that balance between a strong achievement orientation, an expectation of results, and now a realization of it takes some time to really understand the DNA of the business. How do you manage that complexity simultaneously?
Yeah, I think first of all it's important not to rely on our own only capabilities and strengths.
Yes.
It's very important to reach out for help and for support. I've been onboarding. I had a fantastic onboarding plan in which even few months before being formally enrolled, I had the opportunity to get in contact and get to know a couple of people that have been my buddies, and they have been really helping me in understanding the invisible furniture, to get to know them personally, first of all, and then to build the trust, to be able to ask them even the very weird and basic questions that I had, like observing behaviors and patterns that I could not explain from a logical point of view and based on my previous experience, that after talking with them, I discovered actually were deeply rooted in the history of the organization, in relationship between people and stakeholders that have been there for a long, long time.
I love the fact that you're calling out the willingness to ask for help and the humility that it takes in order to do that. That can sometimes be missing. In terms of your buddies and those stakeholders, in your experience, are they at a certain level? Are they peers? Is there a mix of people that you're dialing into that are really helpful in that onboarding period?
The most helpful piece for me has been to have peers as buddies.
Yes.
And sitting in different parts of the organization. So they were able to help me understand in different angles and perspective of the organization. And also it makes you feel more at ease in having peers you can be very open and transparent with. Peers has been a very, very successful experiment. Let's say for me, and it's something that I would really recommend to have a proper onboarding. And what I also found very helpful, it has been not to wait for day one to initiate this relationship. Because in the few months that you have before entering officially in the organization, there are a lot of thoughts that are crossing your mind. You're doing your research.
Yes.
And you may also create very unreal expectations or beliefs. And then it takes off a bit of pressure as of day one, and you know that.
I think it's always good to remind ourselves of that human dimension, of that feeling of being the new kid on the block. It can be deeply uncomfortable. So I love the fact that being proactive with establishing contact, building relationship, trust, being able to ask questions is something that you advocate. What would be the wise counsel you give to new leaders coming into their first onboarding?
It's very important not to rush into judgment on what has been done until now. There is also the positive assumption that it was the best possible choice at that time and in that context. Making sure that we really appreciate and value the past and what has taken the organization to the present that we observe is very important, and makes also everyone in the organization feeling more at ease in sharing. So there is no judgment, there is a honest curiosity to understand and learn and to make sure that we do not underestimate the journey that the team and the company has been on. And it takes time.
Yes.
Of course, you need to dig deeper. And that takes time. So being very clear on the fact that you will be dedicating a good amount of time during the onboarding to listen and understand, first of all. It also helps managing expectations on how quickly you will be presenting your plan.
And for those executives who are taking on a global role, is there any additional layer of advice you would give around how you make sure you've got an understanding across the global context before you discern some of your key principles, let's say?
I think it's potentially particularly challenging to take a global role because the risk is to sit in an ivory tower that is not really connected or deeply connected and does not really understand what's happening on the ground in the markets. And that's why, on top of being present and including country visit, market visit as part of the onboarding, I think it's important to establish immediately the clear understanding for the organization that there is not a first class, second class, and that you're going to be the leader of everyone, and you're really going to make sure that the needs, the instances, the challenges that the different parts of the organization at global level are experiencing are heard.
And how do you keep that connectivity around the globe?
The video contact for me makes a huge difference. Therefore, connecting at least in video calls helps a lot. And it's important to have a first introduction with teams and groups. I was having town halls to introduce myself, but then the one-to-one connection is what really start creating the strong bond that is then cemented during the in-person visit. I think we should never underestimate the fact that we are as human beings, we are complex and it's difficult to understand us. And therefore, doesn't matter how much we introduce ourselves formally and informally to the team, there is a curiosity, there is a deeper curiosity in our teams on who we really are, what really drives us forward, and to see also the vulnerability that comes with being a human. And that's why I think it's important to give a bit of time to scratch the surface, to make sure that we get to the level of intimacy somehow that can allow us to have a deeper conversation. And then after probably, I would say, from the 3 to 6 months in role, it's important to pause and to create intentionally this opportunity for the team to ask deeper questions that very often are, I found, at least in my experience, are related to your life, what has been shaping the leader and the person you are today, and what are your really deep motivations to be in this role and what they can expect from you. And it helps building a deeper level of trust and understanding.
Yeah, I love the fact that you have factored that into your onboarding. And it does take, as you've already said, a level of openness, vulnerability, humility. What sort of feedback have you had through your onboardings where you kind of go, okay, I didn't quite get that one as right or as I'd intended? And then what's been the learning that you've got as a consequence of that?
A key element for me has been I've been waiting probably too long before investing enough time, traveling far from the center.
Yes.
So I've been building somehow my understanding from a distance.
Yes.
And then I realized that while being on the ground, I had quite some haha moments on how reality it is. So I would recommend definitely to, as much as it's really demanding, to factor in more time on the ground early enough.
Okay.
So that has been my learning, let's say, from the onboarding. And as that is very demanding, but it's a very good investment. But it's so rewarding, and I think it's the best way of using my time. It also helps the team to connect further versus a town hall or a video communication. And the feedback I'm getting is that then they feel so much more willing to really get in contact directly, to really speak up.
Yes. You become more accessible, I guess.
More accessible. They feel they can share when you talk to people who are really doing the job. It's very insightful as a leader. Very often I realize we have blind spots, and talking to associates and opening up is helping to make better decisions afterwards.
Yes. What are the principles that you have as your must-have parts of your onboarding when you sit with P&O or HR to start scoping that out?
So for me, it's fundamentally important to understand the history, so where the individuals are coming from, how they are seeing what has made them successful and reaching this level in the organization, what are their ambition, their developing needs, and also how the team health is. That's very important for me, to have a health check of the team collectively, and then how the different individuals have been receiving the news about someone else having been promoted in role, for example. It's also a critical step, especially not only if you are promoted and you become the leader of your peers, it's very important, but you are more aware usually of how they are receiving it. But if you come from external, my first question usually is, why are you hiring from external?
Yes.
What has not allowed you to have a strong succession plan? What are you looking for that you cannot get from a strong talent within the organization? And it unlocks a lot of good conversations to have.
I'd like to just delve here in terms of the distinction between an external appointment and an internal appointment, because I know you've experienced both over your time. What would you say is your experience of that difference?
Actually, at first sight, we may believe that being promoted within an organization is an advantage because you know already the company, you know the culture, you know the stakeholders. But to me, it represents a major challenge because, first of all, you may come into a role with inherited belief and behaviors and assumptions, and you also carry with yourself your old version.
Yes.
So, and really what has made you being successful and getting the promotion may be quite different versus the leader you have to become to be successful in the new role. So we may be blind and we may underestimate the challenge.
Yes.
And that's important to say. But the key element that I think these two experiences had in common for me was the absolute need to have a deep self-reflection. So self-awareness for me is really what makes the difference between a very successful landing in a new role, doesn't matter whether it's internal promotion or not, and a suboptimal, let's say, one. As a leader, we clearly feel the expectations of being fast, being decisive, being very quickly, very clear, and reflection takes time. And we do not value it. We do not value self-awareness and reflection as much as I believe we should as a key leadership competence.
Yes. How do you build in the space for the self-reflection and that deep level of self-awareness so that you're a little bit more prepared for your entry?
I think it's self-reflection and self-awareness is a very deep journey and it's a lifelong journey. And I can't disconnect it from the human being I am and the leader I am and I became. So for me, it's a personal journey that is made up of meditation. I tend to be an overthinker.
Okay.
That in this respect helps. In the sense that I really spend a lot of time with myself.
Yes.
Observing and reflecting on things. Then it's important, of course, also to have an external perspective. So asking feedback, being very curious on how I am perceived, on what are the things that I'm doing well, and where I should be adjusting, and being willingness to listen and let this information settle and contribute then to the self-reflection is very important. So it comes quite natural to me, but still in a very hectic life, it requires quite some intentionality, I would say.
So I can hear there you're drawing together the combination of sitting with yourself to reflect and creating the space to do that. And the way people do that obviously will be very unique to them. Let me just move to managing stakeholder relationships in that early period of your onboarding. What's been your experience and what's your wise counsel around how to keep your stakeholders with you as your thinking's evolving? What does that look like?
I think it's very important to set the scene very clearly, to share very openly beyond what has been shared during the interview process to get the job. What is important to me and where I will be focusing my time on. So to have an active role in defining also the onboarding, the timelines, and the areas that I would like to explore on top of the areas that I'm receiving as these are the things you should be looking into.
Yes.
So being really a co-creator of the onboarding plan is very important and gives room since the very beginning to set also expectations. And then I think with self-reflection and with reflection going on what I'm observing or I was observing, there are certain themes that tends to emerge. And one of the reasons why I think meditation is that powerful, because it let intuition also surfacing, which is a super powerful complement to our logic,
absolutely,
thinking and reflection process. And when you have these themes emerging, I think it's important to share them, making very clear that is a first
Yes.
Observation is a perception, and there is a willingness to check how this resonates with stakeholders, and to ask what is their view on this first very early observation, to make sure that we do not come across as very judgmental or too quick in making up our mind, but we also encourage a deeper and honest conversation on certain observation. Because the first couple of months in role, they're also giving a very unique opportunity, and the fresh look that you have into things is something that is super important.
Yes. Before you become part of the DNA.
Before you become part of it. And in the past, I got senior leaders telling me, please don't enter into the mold.
Okay.
Which is something that sticks a lot.
Yes.
I think it's important to understand the mold.
Yes.
And be part of it, but never feel too much at ease, in a sense. So to not lose this appetite to look at things from a distance somehow, and then zoom in again, making sure that with that kind of understanding and insights, we can make a deeper impact.
I love that. And from a pure process point of view, what have you discerned is the right frequency and rhythm of doing a formal check-in on your thinking?
I think that waiting for 90 days is too long. We form impressions, and others form impression about us very quickly. It's important not to rush into making calls and taking decisions, but it's also important to make sure that there is, with this clarity on, I'm going to check in regularly to share with you what I'm feeling and what I'm observing. It's not a finished piece of work. And of course, it will keep evolving, but it's important to have regular check-ins. And I'm very much in favor of having informal coffee chat and just sharing. And then to have more formal one after the first month in role, the second month in role. And so on. I think one of the best experiences I had was indeed with one of my previous teams to sit together after a couple of months in role and share very openly. And there was a lot of curiosity from their side because I was coming from external, so it was really, I was coming with a fresh pair of eyes to really share my observation, the things that I would have been positively surprised by, and the things that could have been representing a concern moving forward. And to do it in a safe space, just with my leadership team. And give them time also to react. And then to co-create together based on our own experience of the company and my external perspective landing in the company, how together we could have been shaping the strategy for the future. I thought it was so well received because it was inclusive, incorporate and include and make sure that we were having strong foundations, but also distension towards new and better collectively.
And so thank you for sharing what you're calling out there as one of your best experiences. Could I ask you to also go to the flip side? And it may not have been your own, it may be one that you've observed, and you can go, okay, that really didn't work. And then what was the root cause of it really not working?
The example I would love to mention is very talented person, leader joining the business with a super strong need to prove himself, and very much underestimating that the team was coming from a very difficult time. And with very difficult leadership. So the gap in between the need for the team to be listened to, cared for, and then stretched. And the willingness from this person to really prove himself incredibly quickly created at the time a bit of a clash. And it took a while to understand what was going on and to make sure that we collectively could have this honest conversation and agree on how we would have been taking it forward.
And my final question is one from a pure systemic lens. What have you learned over your various experiences around how to get to some of those systemic patterns as quickly, as in understanding them, as quickly as possible in your onboarding, which of course does take quite a bit of delving?
I had a great suggestion from one senior leader in the organization that was, don't stop to the first layer you're responsible for.
Yes.
They also have blind spots. They also, with even the best possible intention, they may not know what is really going on.
Yes.
And I found it very insightful. And he was speaking because of his own experience on being in a factory on the ground.
Yes.
And identifying the key few people in the organization that would have been willing to speak up because they felt this proximity despite a very different level in the hierarchy. And then that was the moment in which he understood really what was going on and what he had to tackle. Okay. And so making sure that we do not just scratch the surface and talk to the first couple of layers, but we embrace that there is a deeper truth that is experienced by people in the organization at a much deeper level.
Love that. I quite often call those the knowledge keepers. Final question. I know that I said the last one was final. Your most important piece of wisdom and advice for someone who's sitting on the receiving end of this conversation, who's just about to embark on their onboarding. What is your number one piece of advice?
That actually it's important to be aware, very much aware, that the next leadership role we are going to get is going to test not as much our competencies, but rather our deep capabilities of being self-aware, to reflect, to listen. And so it's a different challenge versus the one that at first sight we believe we have. And to be prepared for this, we need to embark on a journey much earlier than the opportunity comes. So this is a never-ending, continuous journey that is going to help and is going to serve us in the moment of need. But this level of awareness, I personally find being the game changer.
Elisabetta, it's been an absolute pleasure to be alongside you.
Thank you so much, Des, for having me.